In South China, it's very simple. From a very early age, kindergarten, we were taught that our parents are just biological parents. The real parents is the party and Chairman Mao. And so if there's a conflict between choosing your own parents or the party, you should always, always choose the party. And that's basically what the Red Guards did. Yeah, many of them denounced their parents. Many of them reported their parents and ended that up with their parents being executed. And here, especially today in school, and you are supposed to go to trusted adults, not your parents. And so they did not say party, but it is very similar. They want to cut the ties between parents and the children. Why? That's how you control the children.
You know, you're just reminding me, you know, in the gender-affirming care ideology, you know, that basically this is a so-called standard of care that's being applied for many children in schools, where the counselors are basically, they'll say things like in front of the kid to the parent, you know, would you like to have, you know, a dead child or a living child, i.e. if you don't go along with our approach, your child will commit suicide. The parent becomes sort of the outsider.
Absolutely, and then they made it sound like it's the government that is the real protector of those children.
There's no such thing as someone else's child. No such thing as someone else's child. Our nation's children are all our children.
And that's exactly what happened in China. And I'm sure in all our communist countries.
You know, another thing that's very striking to me is this hostility towards honest accounts of history or you know, accurate accounts of history.
Yes, that is always something that the communists do. In order to control the children, you have to rewrite history. And in China, the history was totally rewritten. And the history that I learned was absolutely fictional. And I have, even today, I still have to detox all this junk they put in my mind. Those who control the present control the past. And when you control the past, you control the future. And so to me, there's so many people here in America, they don't see what we see. Why? Because they don't know the history. The history was so whitewashed. And in school, they were taught the crimes of the Nazi, the crimes of slavery. Few of them know the crime committed in the name of communism. Far more people were killed under communism, but they were taught communism is about sharing. That's rewrite history.
Well, you know, a testament to that is a whole lot of young people view it as a positive system. I mean, there's been multiple surveys done on this. It's astonishing. I think this is a Chinese expression, is putting the powder on the face of communism, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I was talking to a coworker of mine, and she said her new daughter-in-law called herself a communist. I said, do you know what that means? Do you know that sounds like someone tell the Jews that they are Nazi? But she said, really? Yeah. That is how bad things are, that they absolutely have no idea. Why? It's because they were taught that way.
It's almost like, you know, it's actually the successful people, whoever is successful, those are the people that are cast by the system and related ideologies as the oppressor, irrespective of whether they're oppressing anybody.
Yes.
What do you think?
That's actually the operating system for Marxism. And so in China, how did they do that? they identified those rich as the problem for everything that China was experiencing. So the goal is to eliminate the rich so that they can achieve equity. And so the rich were those who were successful people, and including Mao's own father. Mao's father was a prosperous and peasant, rich peasant, and he described how his father got rich. He did not exploit anyone, oppress anyone. He worked hard, and he was smart, made a lot of good decisions. So in communism, wealth is the original sin, and they are the problem. That they are the reason for everyone else's misery. And here, same thing, we see the same thing happen. And so the Chinese were supposed, or the Asians in general, according to the skin color, we were non-white, right? We were supposedly the people of color, and not anymore. And we are now called white adjacent. So why? Only one reason: we're just too successful. So they do not want people to be successful. When you are successful, you are independent, and you are not easy to control. And they like people to be dependent so that they can control them. But not only that, they want to make this a divisive way to set people against each other. They really ferment resentment and hatred to those who are successful.
I think you've said that the term racist essentially means the same thing as counter-revolutionary back in the day.
Yeah, it's everything during the Cultural Revolution is whether you are with them or against them. If you were not in line with them exactly, you are counter-revolutionary. Same here. Sometimes you see people being called racist, and it's just ridiculous because they're not saying anything. Like mass is racism. In America, it's just replaced by the word racist, or more than racist, that bigot, extremist, whatever, phobia. To use that to cast people out and put you in the enemy's camp. And then they can denounce you and they can punish you.
So, well, this is actually just a really, really important point. I want to dwell on this for a moment. It's just the idea is there's the correct ideology.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to know what that is. And really, it comes from, the apparent, ostensibly the people in power. And it says, this is what it's supposed to be. And if you don't agree with it completely, basically, now you're potentially on this being a counter-revolutionary or any number of these other slanderous terms, basically, that are used, right?
Yeah, especially an early stage after the CCP took over power. Everyone learned it quickly. Being rich is bad, right? Look rich is bad. Think like a rich is bad. Think everyone wants to look like proletarian, especially those intellectuals.
Because the intellectuals were the next group.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So to look, think, act like a bourgeois, is bad. So everyone want to look like a proletarian, and the same here. Think white is bad. Act like white is bad. If you study hard, you act like white, right? And you'll be outcasted.
Don't forget to subscribe to our Alerts newsletter, and you'll never miss an episode.